the way it moves. So I went to Vegas for 2 days. If anybody got Instagram, get on my Instagram. You'll see me getting a massage on one of those Instagrams. I was in the Palms out in Vegas. I made the best of the night. You understand? But that's why the shows were canceled. And if I go to Chicago, I just want to say that again, I go anywhere. So don't get it twisted. And when you pull up the footage of me walking out in Chicago on the stage with the chinchilla dragging on the floor, you let me know if that's the swagger of somebody that's in fear of their life. And you holler back at Ricky Rose. And furthermore, I want to say that I salute Mr. Larry Hoover. So if you screaming cut a check, we need a check, ain't no checks getting cut. Ain't never no checks getting cut.
Rap cap. You was in LA and you had to cut a check, buddy.
I don't play those games. Okay. I consider that extortion. We don't play like that. This Dade County.
Rose stood on his 10 toes and made sure to defend his reputation like a man. But what do you guys think? Did he cancel the tour because of the GDs, or was it just a coincidence? But before
sit down, right there, don't go nowhere, little baby gon' shake that, 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 say yeah, I like that, bring that, right here, say sit down, right there, don't go nowhere, say yeah, I like that, bring that, right here, say sit down, right there, don't go nowhere.
Welcome back, we back with part 2 of Atlanta Vicious GDs, how they extorted Rick Ross for millions and took over the streets of GA. Part 2.
Out on serial number? Come on, give me that. Yeah, bro, let me write it down for you real quick. Hello, Miss Officer, I've got it now. It's...
Okay, sir, thank you. And do you know when it went missing?
Hey, Vertui, she asked me when it went missing. What do you want me to say? Just tell her it went missing before the shooting. Okay, ma'am, it went missing before it went missing before December 12th. That's all I know.
Okay, sir. I'll put that in the system. Thank you.
when the department looked at the serial number, they matched it to Vertui's wall. And just like that, he made himself the prime suspect in the Wings Cafe incident.
Bro, what? What were you thinking?
And after a very short investigation, everyone involved was arrested. In the end, all 4 gangster disciples were sentenced to life in prison.
Stupid ass.
This was one of the largest cases in Macon history, and unfortunately it had secondary consequences.
Macon Bibb commissioners are now looking into revoking the nightclub owner's liquor license.
And just like that, the owner lost his business and the Wings Cafe is now abandoned.
Damn, Asian man. That's ass.
In conclusion, the gangster disciples were really causing damage in the streets of Georgia. And sadly, from here it would only get worse. Now let's head back to Atlanta, Georgia. On hood. For whatever reason, the hate committee decided to go on an awful rampage starting in May of 2015. With Smurf at the helm, the committee was about to turn a formerly quiet suburb into a hood worse than Compton. And that takes us to the small city of Stone Mountain, Georgia. Located about 30 minutes east of Atlanta, Stone Mountain was built as a quiet suburb. It was always known for a beautiful state park and for offering peaceful living outside the city. When I tell you that for decades Stone Mountain had zero crime, I mean literally it had zero crime. For example, from 2008 to 2014, the city saw 1 total homicide. But sadly, the streak would quickly end due to the gangster disciples coming to town. Over the course of 2014 and early 2015, the hate committee chose Stone Mountain as their main territory. This is because Smurf lived there and because KK was no longer a factor. He was still a respected GD, but he disassociated from the hate committee. Rumors say that he feared that Smurf was getting out of control and that he changed the direction of the crew. They were supposed to exist in order to discipline members, but Smurf was taking them in a different direction. And once they established in Stone Mountain, he wanted to send a message to the community.
You mean a peaceful community?
The committee's first incident in Stone Mountain doesn't really make sense to me, but I'll explain it anyways. Let me introduce you to a young man named Torrey Alston. Torrey was an Atlanta Bloods member and was sent to prison in 2014. After serving a year, he was released in early 2015 and he wanted to change his life. He left the hood and decided to parole to his girlfriend's apartment in Stone Mountain. There, he decided to escape from his life in the streets and was there to raise his daughter. He even told his dad, "My life is more valuable than this gang stuff."
Well, finally. Hey, bro. Too bad you about to get caught in the loop, man.
So at the young age of 20, he was truly turning the corner for a better life. Well, somehow the GDs recognized him from their beef in the Bluff, and for whatever reason they wanted him gone. And sadly, on May 13th, 2015, he was found outside of his girlfriend's apartment. No one was initially arrested for the incident, as his girlfriend nor his family knew what this was about. Regardless, it shocked the community and was the first of very bad news to come to Stone Mountain. That takes us to July 1st, 2015. It's a Wednesday afternoon in Stone Mountain, and a crew of East Atlanta Bloods are hanging out at an Exxon gas station. They're all standing around a Dodge Charger, listening to music and hollering at girls who pass by. But unlike LA, they're not wearing uniforms, so no one would really know they're Bloods. Well, at 7 p.m., a GD named Quantavious Hurt stops at the gas station to get a snack. While walking to the store, he stops and begins talking to a girl who's standing in front of the Charger. During their conversation, Quantavious accidentally leans on the car. When the East Atlanta Bloods notice, they're furious and they decide to approach Quantavious. They begin aggressively surrounding him, and he puts his hands up to calm it down. He then notices one of the guys grabbing for his waist, and that's when he turns around and sprints to his car. As he's pulling off, all he hears is bang. Thankfully though, they pull a Ben Simmons and Quantavious is able to get away safely. After the scary incident, he instantly drives to Smurf's house to inform him. Smurf is furious.
Nah, twin. Hey, you tell me.
He instantly hands him a ski mask, gloves, and a blower and tells him to drive back to the gas station. He then tells him to
Do something or else you're making the committee look bad.
So at 8:15, Quantavious returns to the gas station hoping the men are still outside. But when he arrives, it's completely empty.
Of course. Like, why
So
would
then
they stay
he
there?
figures,
I might as well go in the store to get the snack I wanted earlier.
Like, bruh,
so he walks in the
shots fired, that's
store,
stupid.
and there he sees a random man named DeMarco Franklin. For whatever reason, he thinks that it's one of the guys from earlier, and that's when he makes an irrational.
Oh my god. This man is bro. He's a horrible person, bro. And it's not even like, it's like, damn, bro. Okay, you got peer pressured into hood. Nah, bro, you gotta go do something, bro. They just shot at you. Alright, I'm gonna go back to the store. You know damn well they not at the store. Now you about to put some random ass civilian into this bullshit. Like, man, that nigga was just trying to get a snack like you was. I hate this.
Decision.
Lame, man.
Quantavious drives straight to Smurf's house, takes a bath, and throws away his gloves and mask. When Smurf gets home,
just threw away
Quantavious
his
tells him
life.
that he caught the guy who targeted him and to check the news.
Rap cap, this
Smurf
nigga
responded by saying,
You did what you were supposed to do.
No, he didn't.
but in the coming days, Quantavious would realize that DeMarco Franklin had nothing to do with the earlier incident. He was just a random guy from the neighborhood who had come in to get a snack.
Come on,
DeMarco
bro.
had chosen to live in this suburban area in order to give his son a better environment, just to sadly run into this nonsense.
Come on,
Due
man.
to the GDs, Stone Mountain was no longer safe, and sadly, more would come just 2 days later. After the gas station incident, Smurf received news that made him even more angry. He received news that GDs from North Carolina were temporarily setting up shop in Stone Mountain.
What?
Particularly, he heard that they were trapping out of the Stone Mountain Inn. For whatever reason, he felt like they were invading his territory without checking in. Now, because the committee was only supposed to be an enforcement crew, the North Carolina GDs had no reason to check in. That's like having a Delta flight and then going to United to check your bags. That was a terrible example, forget that, but you know what I'm trying to say. Regardless of the fact that the North Carolina GDs didn't break the rules, Smurf was still upset and he wanted to send a message. July 3rd, 2015, 5 p.m. Smurf and two committee members drive to the Stone Mountain Inn looking for two particular North Carolina GDs. First is a reputed plug named Zay, and second is his right-hand man E Thugga. Well, when Smurf and his members arrive at the inn, they spot Zay and E Thugga posted on the corner. Instantly, committee member Joseph Broxton says let's hop out and rob them, but Smurf sees a police car across the street and he calls it off.
Joseph
So
ain't got no
Smurf
next
drives
name.
back to his house and orders the two members to slide back later. These would be three young members named Lil Joe, Island, and Young Drake.
Island.
Like I said, three young members
foreign.
willing to crash out at any moment. 8 p.m.
That's
The
funny
trio
as hell.
return to the Stone Mountain Inn
foreign,
and they see
yeah.
Zay and E Thugga hanging outside with more than 10 people. Now a 3-on-10 attempt is crazy, especially in the South. But regardless, Smurf ordered them to do this and they figure they have no choice. Ugh.
Bro, why Smurf ain't putting in no work, bro? This nigga making me mad, bro. Like, Go do something.
They know this is a bad idea, so they actually come up with a second plan. They decide to hop out of the car and approach the Carolina GDs in a respectful manner.
Say, twin, we're the local GDs. Do you mind if we kick it?
The Carolina crew is cool with it, and they all decide to hang out and have a good time. That's when Lil Joe asks E Thugga if he can see the trap. Well, E Thugga thinks nothing of it, and the Carolina crew take them to their hotel room. Then boom, out of nowhere, all 3 committee members whip out. They tell them to hand over everything, but the Carolina GDs are not going for it. Sadly, the committee make a terrible decision.
They gonna let it go. What?
24-year-old Edward Chadman, also known as E Thugga, would not make it. Committee member Drick was also placed into a coma. Somehow though, Lil Joe and Island were able to get away untouched, and they drove back to Smurf's apartment. When the Gangster Disciple organization found out about the incident, they were absolutely pissed. Specifically, Alonzo Walton and OGKK were not happy about what Smurf had going on in Stone Mountain. Smurf knew that he messed up, and for that reason he needed to find a scapegoat.
In any of this.
So essentially, he decided to blame it on all of the GD members who didn't volunteer to go on the recent mission.
Bro, he a hoe. Like, I know it's supposed to be PG. He's a hoe. Like, what are we doing here? This man's a gardening tool.
The idea was that if more members had tagged along, the night would have gone more smoothly. As a result, he put a green light on every GD member in the Stone Mountain area except for Lil Joe, Island, and Quantavious Hurd. And as you know, the Chief Enforcer sadly has the power to do this. This was really bad news for Stone Mountain. And that takes us to July 30th, 2015, 1:45 a.m. Lil Joe arrives at Smurf's house in a BMW M5 that he just stole in Atlanta. So Smurf tells Island to get in the car and for the duo to go on some missions. He hands them a bunch of tools and tells them
to go out and find any GD members.
So the duo head over to Central Drive where they know they can find some members. Central Drive is essentially a street that has a bunch of apartment complexes on both sides. Well, at 2 a.m., Lil Joe pulls into the first complex he sees, the Hairston Wood Apartments. As he's driving around the complex, he notices a man sitting in his car blasting music. So Lil Joe stops his car and gets out to approach the man. He aggressively approaches the car with his hand on his waist, and the man in the car notices quickly. So he jumps out of his car and sprints over to his apartment. Sadly, this is when Lil Joe makes an irrational decision. Thankfully, the man makes it inside safely and Lil Joe drives away. After doing this, he quickly drives to a nearby city to lay low. Particularly, he heads up Highway 78 to the suburban Gwinnett County.
Oh, great.
Here they know that they won't find any GDs, so instead they look for easy licks. At 6:15 a.m., they run out of gas and stop at the gas station on New Hope Road. So Lil Joe pumps his gas while Island walks to the store. As he's approaching the store, he notices a red pickup truck that's running with no one inside. So he quickly walks back to Lil Joe to share his idea.
The BMW is hot. Let's go ahead and take the pickup truck.
So the duo walk up to the truck and quickly open the door. There, a man named Oliver Campbell plops up and says, "Hey!" For whatever reason, this prompts Lil Joe to make a terrible decision.
Oh my god. Yo, this man really went on a illing spree, bro. Like, bro, he went on a crazy spree. What is wrong with this man? The snowball effect is ridiculous. Rest in peace, man.
Oliver was simply a hardworking man who was sitting in his truck before work. Sadly, he didn't deserve this in a million years. Well, directly after doing this, Lil Joe and Island drove straight back to Smurf's apartment. Smurf tells them to take a nap and go back outside when they've woken up. The duo get up at 9 p.m., hop in the BMW, and head straight back to Central Drive. At 9:15, they pull into the East Ponce Apartments, the most upscale in the community. They don't know any GDs who live there, but they figure they'll give it a chance.
The thing that's making me so mad, right? It's like, why are y'all doing this in suburbia? Why are y'all polluting good communities? You couldn't have just stayed in the ass community. What are you doing? Why are you doing this?
As they're driving around the complex, they notice a man sitting on his patio looking at his phone. For whatever reason, they assume he's a GD and they both hop out of the car. Sadly, they make a terrible decision.
Oh my god.
The duo then hop in the BMW and speed away.
Bro, that took 4 people's lives.
They
Only
then
one was a
ditched
gang
the
member.
car
What?
behind a building in the nearby Decatur. Well, as it turns out, Rockwell Nelson was not even a Stone Mountain resident, nor was he a GD. He was simply staying at a girl's house that he had just met on a dating app. He had nothing to do with anything.
Like, come on, bro.
Stone Mountain was getting really, really bad. This was number 4 of the summer, and sadly another one would come just a couple days later.
It was 4, okay.
Smurf got word that a member named Robert Rampage Dixon had stolen money from a fellow committee member. As you would expect, Smurf was furious, and he ordered Lil Joe and Island to go get Rampage and take him back.
How are these niggas still out? How? Police ain't see these. Like, they did all of this with masks on? There were no cameras?
To his apartment. So on August 3rd at 5 p.m., they deliver Rampage at Smurf's doorstep. Smurf meets him in the driveway and simply asks him one question.
Twin, tell me the truth. Did you steal?
Duh.
And I guess Rampage's answer was not good enough for Smurf. This was now number 5 of the year for the GDs in Stone Mountain. With a population of 4, answer
so
was
Smurf
not
did something?
Smurf's door. Smurf was furious, and he ordered Lil Joe and Island to go get Rampage and take him back to his apartment. So on August 3rd at 5 p.m., they deliver Rampage at Smurf's doorstep. Smurf meets him in the driveway and simply asks him one question.
Twin, tell me the truth. Did you steal?
And I guess Rampage's answer was not good enough for Smurf.
Nah, he probably ain't do it.
This was now number 5 of the year for the GDs in Stone Mountain. With a population of 4,000 residents, this gave the city a homicide rate of 125 per 100,000. That's 20 times higher than the city of LA and 5 times higher than the actual city of Atlanta. As a result, the DeKalb County sheriffs were concerned and decided to investigate all of the incidents
they had to do their
together.
job,
And
finally.
once the disciples got word that they were under investigation, all of the members either left the Atlanta area or decided to completely lay low.
Now you may be wondering,
just leave. Just leave, bro. Go to like another country. Get the hell out of my state.
how did they know they were under investigation?
Well, that introduces us to a DeKalb County sheriff named Vancito Gums.
That name's
Vancito
hard.
was a respected Army veteran who came back from service with 2 plans. The first was to follow his father's footsteps and become a DeKalb County sheriff. And the second, well, that was to join the
clean up
Gangster
the streets,
Disciples.
man. Oh,
Well,
God.
believe it or not, both of his wishes came true at the same time.
What you
The
mean,
GDs
join
accepted
Gangster
him and he
Disciples?
actually became Kevin Clayton's right-hand man. He was truly a full-fledged GD member while being a police officer. And this is why the Atlanta Gangster Disciples were always one step ahead of investigations.
You dirty motherf... Like, no. Vincito, no. Why? Why would you do this? Bruh, there were 0 homicides in Stone Mountain. Them niggas made that jump immaculately. Why would you assist these niggas?
Alonzo Walton and OGKK were truly smart leaders, and that's why they were never gonna get caught. OGKK was even holding community events and was speaking out against the violence in his community.
I done seen I done been around the robberies. I done been around kidnappings and everything that you can imagine.
It was back in February when I first introduced you to Kevin Clayton, better known as KK. I told you that once a prominent leader in the Gangsta Disciples, Clayton claimed that he had turned his life around.
A lot of these guys do look at you and say, you've been there and you've been in places that they can't even imagine, I imagine.
Yeah, I done been there. Like you say, I done been on both sides. Like I said, I came up playing football and baseball, athletic side. You know, my mom and dad, they kept me in the sports growing up. But as I got older, I ventured off and started doing my own thing. That's when I got into the and I got into the gang life. I recruit to go, you know what I mean? You recruit to better the community, and I.
Don't you think you could have better assisted the community being like a coach or something? I don't know, sharing your experiences. Your ass. You're a trash bag. Like this nigga. This nigga's lame as hell. Oh yeah, bro. My parents was But then I said, you know what? I'm gonna just do my own thing and join a gang. And did it benefit you? Maybe, I guess, temporarily. Hopefully you get life. Weak ass nigga.
Started the organization, reaching out to some of the blood members, the OG Crip members, and the OG GD members that I knew, and we brought it together.
I met KK and the BCF crew at Rock of Ages Lutheran Church on Memorial Drive, where young men in his organization serve meals to the homeless every Wednesday.
You got a lot of young guys here.
It's a good thing.
That's a tax write-off, man.
That's the best thing. Why?
Because me being the OG, they listen.
KK knew that the way he was moving and his image were preventing him from ever being investigated. Or at least that's what he thought. But Smurf, on the other hand, well, he was ruining everything for everyone.
Smurf for being the crash
He
out,
and his
man.
committee members
That's how the whole thing came down, bro. Cause this nigga Kevin Clayton rubbing elbows with everybody, bro. This is some bullshit.
were moving extremely sloppy, and it was only a matter of time before police figured it out. But in classic Atlanta fashion, police only figured it out once an informant came to the table.
duh.
In September of 2015, a regional leader named Markel White was caught burning his house down. His idea was to collect the insurance money, but police were all over this. So essentially, Markel White was facing a lot of time in prison unless he gave up some names.
Man, I don't want to go to jail, so I'll give you everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. I'll tell you literally everything the GDs have done since the very start.
There we
Ooh,
go.
you want something juicy? Let me tell you about how the GDs extorted Rick Ross. Ooh, how about how one of your officers is actually a GD?
Get him out of
Ooh,
here.
how about how that community leader who was on the news is still a criminal?
So it pretty
You know what
much
I'm
went
saying?
like that, and that's how the entire Gangster Disciple organization was taken down in Georgia. On April 27, 2016, 48 Gangster Disciples were arrested in Georgia. And the news station that interviewed KK was really not happy. They felt betrayed and were embarrassed of the image that they painted of KK.
Well, new at 11, a story you'll see only here. Yesterday's multi-state gang takedown resulted in dozens of arrests, but one in particular caught my attention. Kevin Clayton, he's also known as KK on the streets of DeKalb County. He told me just months ago that he had left the street life behind. A federal indictment, it disagrees. Just one station with the new developments tonight.
According to this 55-page indictment, the feds say that KK never left the gang life.
They operate in a very complex network.
KK is one of 32 people indicted Wednesday in federal court. According to that indictment, these 32 are accused of various racketeering charges, the same gang that KK told me he had left behind. Instead, he claimed to have started BCF, Better Communities and Families, 3 years ago. It was all to empower former and current gang members to
BCF, better caps and finesses. Clearly, but better caps and finesses, clearly.
get on a straight path. As part of the indictment, Britt Johnson with the FBI in Atlanta says that while Gangsta Disciple members like KK were serving the community, they were simultaneously victimizing it.
This investigation has shown that members of the Gangster Disciples who were involved in community-based activities such as feeding the homeless, stop the violence rallies, and community fundraisers.
You doing, bro? Like, bro. Okay, cool. You're doing the most contradictory ever because you stopping the violence, but you're taking people's lives. What are you solving? what are you solving? What are we doing?
Are simultaneously involved in violent criminal activities.
That the Gangsta Disciples had infiltrated police departments and the parole office.
Come on, man.
So let me briefly run down everything in the indictment. First, you have the terrible incident in Marietta that kicked everything off in 2011. Then you have the Rick Ross fiasco. However, the Fort Lauderdale incident was never in the indictment. Then you have the gas station music video that went wrong in Westside Atlanta. Then you have Alonzo Walton's nonsense involving the woman's car. Then you have the devastating incident at the Wings Cafe in Macon. Then you have the uncalled for targeting of Tori Alston in Stone Mountain.
Wow.
Then you have everything involving Smurf, Quantavius, Lil Joe, and Island. All of this terrible nonsense in under 4 years. This just goes to show that Atlanta and its surrounding areas are truly no joke. But on the bright side, the police and district attorneys do their best job to put people away for a long time. And in this case, pretty much everyone in the indictment got over 15 years in prison. Even Officer Vancito Gums got 15 hard years.
15? That's it?
Former DeKalb County police officer.
Vancito, you know you got lucky, right? You know you're supposed to get life, right? Like, bro, you instituting all this bullshit, man. Nah, man, bro, you supposed to make an example out of him.
Convicted of racketeering along with 4 other members of the gangster disciples. Federal prosecutors say Vancito Gums would tip off the gang to police activity, and then he bragged about being a hitman while on the police force. He was arrested after resigning from the department. Law enforcement say that the gang has a long history of recruiting officers to help do their dirty work.
Man. Hopefully this was the end of the GDs in Atlanta, but you really never know. And this is yet another reminder that this kind of life leads to absolutely nothing but terrible negativity. Nothing good ever comes from this kind of life, and if you haven't learned it by now, then you just don't want to hear it. Like while Rick Ross is living happy in his giant mansion, these guys are all living in a 6x9 cell. The guys like OG, KK, and Smurf who used to boss everyone around, well, those guys are now told when they can eat, when they can sleep, and when they can take a shower. But in my opinion, the worst part about this story is what they did to the city of Stone Mountain. After the GDs were taken down, another crew would pop up in the same city. And these guys were pretty wild too, and if you want to see that, go watch.
Hold on, what you mean? How they ran up millions robbing Gunna? Yeah, we on that next, man. And that's the next video we on. So that was the end of Atlantis vs. GDs, how they extorted Rick Ross. And then he capped and say, yeah, bro, I ain't giving out no money. Real gangster. If I wasn't scared to go to Chicago, like, bro, the Chicago GDs ain't got no problem with you, bro. Did you like, what is wrong with this nigga? Anyway, young cap artist. And then they took over the streets of GA, and they took over Stone Mountain. Like, why? Because there was nobody there. So you niggas is weak. I don't know what to tell you. Then you ran rampant and took out a bunch of civilians. Like, there was no gang wars. You were supposed to be enforcing discipline, and you had no discipline. It's a damn shame. Rest in peace to all the innocent people who were taken in this senseless ass, bruh, childish ass gang incidents. Anyway, it's the end of the video. Like I said, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Stay safe, y'all.
See this game turn me into a monster. Hey, I'm in God mode, can't stop. I'm booked to live as the come. All this pain got me feeling the come. See this game turn me into a monster. I'm in God mode, can't stop. Hey, all that pain got me feeling jaded. Many with your road when the making. Still plugged into the mix, but lagging out before the update. Drop back in different times, same location.